we need to make him sexy. I'm like, I could do that. We do have so much choice in our lives to be good people. That's how we knew that we were going to probably be friends forever, I think. We're going to make Finn Tom Cruise, okay? This is what we're doing. There is some pretty spectacular stuff in 3 as well. It wasn't all in 2.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm thrilled to welcome back to the podcast Siobhan Devine. Hi, Siobhan.
Hi, Stephanie. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited to chat with you about Providence Falls, and I want to jump right in. You directed part 2. So can you tell us a little bit about your initial reaction when you read the script for Providence Falls, or specifically even part 2?
Oh, yeah. I got to read episodes 1 and 2. And I was like so excited that Hallmark were doing a trilogy, because it's wonderful to have a story told over 3 big episodes, because you can really get some juicy, interesting things going on, a lot of character development. So yeah, I was super duper excited when I was in the mix for this. And I must admit that I did like the script for number 2 the best. So I was it was sort of all the gods conspired, and I was very excited to get episode 2.
So you say, you loved that script the best. What were some of those things that stood out to you that said, I'm glad that this is the script that I get to direct?
Well, I loved Lucy had done the hard work, which is like setting all the tone and got to know everyone. But by the time I got there, we already know everyone, which is super awesome. And I got to kind of deepen some of the storylines and really help us get to know the characters better. And then Mag showed up, fantastic. And then it was funny because at one point they said, because they needed to make sure that Finn was like a real contender, and they were like, we need to make him sexy. I'm like, I could do that. So I had this, and then the end in the lake and then the twist. I mean, it just had it all. Yeah. So yeah, I was super excited.
When you read the script, what was something that you said, like, this is the thing that I have to get right?
Well, I knew the pool I had to get right, because I knew that Finn had been kind of, a lot of the focus had been on Cora and Liam, and that Finn had kind of been a little bit sidelined, and he sort of had this a little bit boring personality, and why would she go for this boring guy? And so, yeah, and I love Pool, and I think, and I mentioned that the Color of Money, right away, Color of Money. I'm a massive Tom Cruise fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say, that's what I said to everyone, okay, we're going to make Finn Tom Cruise. Okay, this is what we're doing. So yeah, that was one I was really, really excited about. And then the big action sequence at the end was super fun, because it's exciting to do, but then it's for family viewing. So we don't want tons of violence so it was kind of an interesting challenge to make it interesting and exciting, but also watchable, so that the whole family hopefully sitting down watching the movie, and that they they don't have to cover the eyes.
Yeah. So you mentioned that was a challenge. What were some of those from a directing standpoint, like other logistical challenges, especially when you think about even going back in time and going from modern to back in time? What were some of those challenges?
Yeah, the modern to back in time was challenging, because trying to make sure that everybody knew where we were. I think that's the main thing, is how do you transition from modern day to past back to modern day, because the clothes do it, but I mean, her clothes did it, but not so much Liam's clothes, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's why at the top of in movie 2, I pitched hard to put a chyron that said, Ireland 1844, because I was like, let's just there's a lot less Ireland in movie 2. So in movie 1, it's back forth. But in movie 2, there's a lot less. So I just wanted to remind everyone that we're going back in time and not have the audience's time kind of being wasted trying to figure out where we were. So that's why I just put that right there at the top. So it's clear that that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really the biggest, is the transitions, and to make sure that everybody's following along, following the plot.
Yeah. So we're used to, when we show up on a Saturday night on Hallmark, to watch a movie of the week. And you talked a little bit about, the character development when you have an opportunity to go across 3 weekends. So what was it like, similarities, differences, in doing something like a 3-part series versus just your typical movie of the week?
I think it was quite a lot different because we had a lot longer the story's super complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a big challenge in and of itself, to try and make sure that the story was clear, because there's so many stories going on.
Yeah.
But it was more like a book than a movie, in that, you could really, you could show different facets of people's personalities. And also the storyline, because the police procedural storyline is really quite complicated. Mm-hmm. And ordinarily you have to wrap it all up in an hour and a half. So then really the story's only about 20 minutes worth or 30 minutes worth of the series. So the scene where she pulls the necklace out, we learned mountains about those two characters in that scene. So it was really about holding stuff back to make sure that every scene had something that, was new, and therefore, it's not odd. The audience gets bored when you just keep hearing the same news over and over. So it's really about holding stuff back and making sure that it comes out at drip, drip, drip throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, it was so good. So you and I have talked before about the research that goes into, from a directing standpoint, there's so much research that you guys have to do. What were some of those research things?
Well, I did a little bit of research of Ireland 1844. So obviously my ancestors are all Irish. So I did a little bit of research there. And then another thing I did is I got storyboards done for that big sequence at the end, because we were doing, a huge stunt sequence at night in the water, and with quite a lot of people. So I did do some storyboards, so that everyone knew what we were doing, so that there was no, the most important thing in a big sequence like that is that nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we have safety people on, and we have stunt people, but it's really good if we are all on the same page, singing from the same songs. So that was probably the most challenging, and the thing I spent quite a lot of time researching that and doing the storyboards, and finding the right location. That's always it's always key, is to make sure that the location services the story.
Got it. So now that we've seen part 2, what are some of your favorite moments, or moments that you're most proud of?
Well, obviously the 2 scenes that I talked about, but I have some real favorites. I like when they're in the car and they're driving to save Cora eventually. I love those 2. I love that they grudgingly accept each other as friends, they've come a long way. So I really love that. And then I love the scene where Finn opens up to Cora about his past.
Yeah.
Like that is a beautiful, beautiful scene. And I mean, it was raining on that day, but I really wanted it, to be in a trailer park, and for us to really get to know Finn in a different way. So that I loved that scene. That was a really beautiful scene. And then one of my favorites too is it's so many.
No, it's like share away.
Is Aegon and Liam and Suzette in the kitchen of the cafe. I just love that. I laugh now every time I see it. I laugh. I mean, it's just fabulous. I love that scene, because it's like these 3 worlds colliding, because we don't know about Suzette, right? So it's like modern and 1844 and the Angels, and it's the first time that all those 3 worlds collide. So yeah, I love that scene.
So many good moments. And like you were talking about, making Finn a contender, the pool scene, and then the pool scene where he's looking from. I mean, so well done, because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, but Finn. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean his face, right? It's
Yes.
just, it says he just. It's. I mean, Evan did such a wonderful job, because there was like a novel went over his face when he saw that kiss. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So part 2 ends with Liam saving Cora, and Finn seeing them together. We also learn about Suzette, which I think there was like this thing in the back, like, who's it going to be? And then, we learn about Suzette. Is there something that is going to happen in episode 3 that you could tease without giving anything away?
Oh my goodness, so much happens in episode 3. I mean, I cannot wait for it to air, because that, like, the finale is so complicated, because there are a million ends, a million little bits for her to tie up for that. There's so much going on in that, but there's some pretty spectacular. There is some pretty spectacular stuff in 3 as well. It wasn't all in 2. How about that?
So part 3 is directed actually by Lucy Guest. Can you share a little bit about, when you collaborate in a project like this and there's multiple directors? It's not the first time that you've done something like that where you're doing a large project with multiple directors, but what was it like in this experience?
It was the best. Lucy was an amazing collaborator. We really, I think we saw the project very similarly, and we have similar styles of shooting styles. So it was super collaborative. I mean, on New Year's Eve, we were in a car looking for location scouting for the forest, where 1844, for that forest where she's running through the forest and she falls off the cliff. And that's what we were doing, New Year's Eve. That's how we knew that we were going to probably be friends forever, I think. So it was a crazy day. We drove miles and miles and miles, but yeah, it was really awesome. And so, like we would collaborate in a way, because sometimes on one day, she only had one scene. She only has one scene in a location that I have a bunch of scenes. And so we made space on that day for her to come and direct her scene on that day early. And when she went to Ireland, I didn't go to Ireland because it would have messed up the whole schedule. Like we would not have finished the 3 movies on time. Mm-hmm. So she went, and then she shot my scenes. The one, when Finn and asked Cora to marry him. So she shot that, and she was sending me real-time photos and videos so that I could see what she was doing. So yeah, it was a really fabulous experience, and we have decided that we're going to do it again.
Yay! That's awesome. What do you hope that the audience gets out of viewing this particular series?
Well, I mean, the thing that made me think the most while I was making this was very much about fate and destiny and how much self-determination we have. And I really thought a lot about that actually during this, and it was good for me to just mull those questions, because sometimes I think we forget that we do have so much choice in our lives to be good people, to be. And so I think there's lots and lots about love and criminals, but really that for me it was about living our lives and choosing to be good people. Yeah, I think that was the thing that's what I took away from the series.
Yeah. Well, this has been a really, really fun project to watch over the last couple of weeks. I know we've got part 3 airing Saturday night. For those of you that haven't watched Providence Falls, you can actually watch all 3 parts. So you can watch Chance of a Lifetime and Impossible Promise, which Siobhan directed, and Thief of Fate, all on Saturday on Hallmark. Of course, you can always catch them on Hallmark Plus. But Siobhan, thank you so much for taking the time to give us your behind the scenes perspective. It's a fantastic series. We've loved it. And I'm really excited to see what you and Lucy can pull off next. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.